Stop waiting for life to hand you success. Every second you waste is another second someone else is taking your place. Are you ready to wake up, take control, and stop being average? Time is the only thing you can never get back. You can lose money and make it again. You can lose friends and meet new ones. But when you lose time, it's gone forever. Most people don't understand this until it's too late. They act like they've got unlimited years ahead of them, scrolling for hours, sleeping half the day, wasting time on things that do nothing for their future. I used to be that person too. I thought I had time to figure it out, time to chill, time to wait for the perfect moment. But the truth is, time doesn't wait for anyone. When I was broke, I realized something that completely changed me. I looked around and saw other men moving faster than me, achieving more while I was still sitting there, planning, talking, dreaming. That's when it hit me. I was running out of time. I wasn't some special person who was going to magically wake up rich one day. I had to act right now. Every minute I wasted was another man outworking me, another man taking the opportunities that could have been mine. There were days I had nothing. I was living cheap, struggling to pay bills, trying to figure out how to make something of myself. I didn't have comfort, I didn't have support, and I didn't have time to feel sorry for myself. I worked long hours, slept little, and focused on building something that would pull me out of that hole. People thought I was crazy for how obsessed I was, but I didn't care. I knew one truth. If I didn't respect my time, no one else ever would. You have to see time the same way you see money, but even more valuable. Every hour should be invested into something that takes you forward, learning, improving, building, working on your body, your mind, your business. People waste years waiting for someday. Someday I'll start, someday I'll try, someday I'll change. That someday never comes. What they don't realize is that every day wasted is a small piece of their potential gone forever. When I was coming up, I didn't have free time. While others were out partying, I was studying, training, planning. I didn't know when my break would come, but I knew one thing: if I kept using my time wisely, it eventually would, and it did hard. Every success I have today came from hours that no one saw. Moments when I could have relaxed but didn't. Time is life. You either spend it building or you spend it losing. There's no in between. If you're not rich yet, if you're not where you want to be, you can't afford to waste a single moment. You're not behind because of bad luck or other people. You're behind because you let your time slip away. Stop wasting it, because once it's gone forever. Discipline is the difference between people who talk about success and the ones who actually achieve it. Everyone wants to be rich. Everyone wants freedom. But not everyone is willing to do what it takes when they don't feel like it. That's the real test. Motivation is easy. Anyone can feel fired up after watching a video or hearing a speech. But when that feeling fades, when the excitement is gone, discipline is the only thing that keeps you moving. When I was broke, I didn't wake up every day feeling ready to work. There were mornings I was tired, nights I couldn't sleep because I was stressed about money, days I didn't want to deal with anything. But I still did. I trained, I worked, I kept pushing, not because I was motivated, but because I was disciplined. I made a decision: no matter how I felt, I would do what needed to be done. That mindset changed my life completely. I remember living in a small apartment with almost nothing. No comfort, no luxury, just me and the goal in my head. Every day I had to fight laziness, distraction, doubt. I wanted to rest. I wanted to take it easy, but then I'd remind myself, resting doesn't pay bills. Nobody's going to hand you success just because you want it. The world rewards those who keep moving when everyone else stops. That's what discipline is. People think success comes from big moments, but it doesn't. It comes from small decisions repeated every day. The decision to wake up early, the decision to train even when you're sore, the decision to keep working when no one's watching. Over time, those decisions build power. They make you sharper, stronger, more focused, and eventually they separate you from everyone else. There were years when nothing seemed to be working. I was putting in all the effort and seeing no results. Most people would have quit, but I kept showing up because discipline doesn't care about quick results. It cares about consistency. And one day, everything I had been working for started falling into place. It wasn't magic. It was the reward for every single day I refused to quit. You can't depend on motivation. It's like the weather. It changes. It changes. Some days you'll feel powerful and some days you'll feel broken. But if you have discipline, none of that matters. You'll keep going regardless of emotion. That's what makes strong people unstoppable. I've learned that discipline gives you freedom. Oh, it might sound strange, but it's true. When you live with discipline, you control your life. You decide how your time is spent, how your energy is used, and what direction you're heading. Without it, you drift. You become a slave to comfort, to emotions, to distractions. And that's why most people stay average. If you want to change your life, don't wait to feel ready. Act now. Do what needs to be done, even when it's hard. That's real discipline, and that's how you win. Excuses are the biggest lie you tell yourself to stay comfortable. People say they want to be successful, but the moment things get difficult, they start building reasons why it's not their fault. I've heard it all. I'm tired. I don't have enough time. I'll start next week. I don't have the right connections. I used to say the same things when I was broke. I had every excuse ready. But one day I realized excuses don't pay bills. They don't change your life. They only protect your weakness and keep you stuck where you are. When I was struggling, I had every reason to quit. I didn't have money, I didn't have support, and nothing was going my way. I could have said it's not possible for me and no one would have blamed me. But I knew deep down that blaming life wouldn't fix it. I remember nights when I sat alone thinking, why isn't this working? But then I started asking a better question, what can I do to make it work? That's the difference between winners and everyone else. Losers look for reasons, winners look for results. There was a time I failed again and again. Every business idea fell apart, every plan went wrong. And for a moment, I wanted to give up. I thought maybe life just wasn't fair. But then I looked at the people who were successful and I realized they had problems too, worse ones than mine. The only difference was that they didn't make excuses. They found a way. That moment changed everything for me. I stopped talking and started acting. If I didn't have the skill, I learned it. If I didn't have the money, I found a way to make it. I stopped complaining about what I didn't have and focused on what I could control. Slowly, everything began to shift. The more I took responsibility, the stronger I became. I didn't wait for perfect conditions, I created them. Excuses are just stories we tell ourselves to avoid pain. We say, I can't, when what we really mean is, I don't want to struggle, but struggle is where growth happens. Every successful person you admire has been through it, the late nights, the rejection, the failures. The difference is they didn't hide behind excuses. They faced reality and kept moving forward. When I look back now, I'm grateful I didn't let my excuses win, because every time I wanted to stop, that was the moment I was closest to breaking through. Every failure, every rejection taught me something I needed to know. Life doesn't reward excuses, it rewards effort. So if you're sitting there waiting for the perfect time, the right opportunity, or someone to believe in you, stop. The only person who can change your life is you. Excuses will always be there, but so will the chance to win. You just have to choose which one to hold on to. The world is moving fast, and if you're not learning, you're already falling behind. Most people stop learning the moment they finish school, thinking they know enough. But life doesn't reward what you know, it rewards what you keep learning and applying. Knowledge is a weapon, and in this world, the one with the sharpest mind wins. When I was younger, I didn't fully understand this. I thought hard work alone was enough. But hard work without direction is just movement. You need to keep learning so you can move in the right direction. When I was broke, I had a lot of time but no money. Most people in that situation waste their time doing nothing useful, but I decided to use every hour to learn. I studied everything I could: business, communication, mindset, fitness. I watched people who were successful and tried to understand how they thought. I didn't have a mentor or a team, but I had the internet and my own discipline. I knew that if I kept learning faster than everyone else, I'd eventually get ahead. There were days I didn't feel like reading or studying. I wanted to relax, watch something funny, or just sleep. But I remembered how it felt to be broke, how it felt to depend on others, and I couldn't accept that anymore. So I pushed myself to learn even when I didn't want to. I studied things that made me uncomfortable, things I didn't understand, and slowly it started to change how I saw the world. I began to notice patterns, how people think, how systems work, how money moves. Once I understood that, everything started making sense. I remember the first time I applied something I had learned. It was small, a simple idea about marketing, but it worked. I made a little bit of money, not much, but it was proof that knowledge turned into action could change my life. From that moment, I became obsessed with learning. I stopped wasting time on entertainment and started feeding my mind with things that would help me grow. The truth is, if you're not learning, you're choosing to stay the same. And in a world that's constantly evolving, staying the same means falling behind. People are too busy with distractions, social media, gossip, useless talk, and then they wonder why nothing is changing in their life. They spend hours watching others succeed instead of studying how to build their own success. When I look at my life now, everything I have came from what I learned. Not just from books, but from experience, failure, and observation. Every time I faced a problem, I learned from it instead of running away. That's how growth happens. You can't be afraid of learning new things, even if they're uncomfortable. The world is not waiting for you to catch up. You have to run, you have to grow, you have to learn every single day. Because the moment you stop learning, you stop winning.